Hey guys, Jared Flinn with the BulkLoads Podcast. Tyler's in here with me.
What's going on?
Have you recovered yet from last week?
I have not. This week's been really busy.
Yeah. We had the Smart Freight girls in the office down here. And if you all know, it's a sister company of ours, Smart Freight Funding. They are our factoring quick pay arm that based out of Omaha. But They were down here last week and got to enjoy their company and had a lot of fun just mingling with them. You always learn so much when you bring other people in your office and just kind of have those one-on-one meetings. You made mention that, man, we got a lot done.
Yeah.
Like it's amazing versus like trying to schedule calendar invites and Zoom calls to try to tag people.
Yeah.
You bring them in a room and man, a lot gets pushed out.
Yeah. There's so much power just whenever you can just sit in a room and brain dump, everything that you want to do and just get everyone's feedback on that.
I tell you, I had, at the end of the day, my brain was mush.
Yeah.
Like all I wanted to do was like go home and just, I guess, veg out. And we had activities planned. So
yeah, I'd agree with that.
It's a great week though. Encourage that for companies out there, man, make time with your employees to have those one-on-ones. You learn so much and it's so beneficial around the clock. I mean, just to learn ideas that they have, things that you can be doing better as a company for your customers, but also for your employees.
Yeah. Yeah, I always like whenever Smart Freight comes down just because just the commingling that happens, but also it's just a constant reminder that, we're here to serve the same people. We have multiple companies involved now, but there's always one goal, and it's to serve our bulk industry.
Yeah. If Joe can, our guy that does our editing, maybe he can throw up a photo in between now as you watch this podcast. But some of the things that they dressed up one day, or I guess 2 days, but we had a lot of fun. But,
good time.
I think just encourage that for you out there, even if you're a small trucking company or mid-sized business, man, make sure and spend time. It means the world to the company and the employees in it.
Yeah.
So, well, I'm looking forward to today's podcast. I brought on Scott Erickson. He's with Heartland Logistics Group. His partner, John Coleman, I brought in, I think, a couple years ago and spoke about kind of when they first launched. But both of those guys, they're old C.H. Robinson brokers, worked for there. That's really kind of where they cut their teeth and did some other things and then went into business together. I'm going to let them unfold the story. But what I love about this podcast specifically, I wanted to bring Scott on to really talk about the faith aspect in their business. And you can tell it is interwoven with everything that they do. We try to do that with us, not to look or show anyways, but just to show people how important that is to us and that we share that commonality with a lot of our members and our subscriber base.
Yeah, Jared, and I think this is a great segue from last episode. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. But it was you talking about, what would you do whenever you could go back and tell yourself when creating bulk loads. But you talk about a lot of faith and how much that played a huge part in creating the company. So I think it's just a perfect segue into this, and you can see the similarities with Scott and you.
Yeah, there's a lot to learn just from a business standpoint, but how we can be strong in our faith. I don't want this to necessarily be a faith podcast, but you can just see how it's interwoven with what they do. Scott was very shy to come on about this. And I think he was more shy because he wanted to make sure and represent, his faith in Christ. Yeah. And he didn't want to boggle that. And he did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, it was a great episode.
Oh, cool. Well, with that said, here is my conversation with Scott Erickson of Heartland Logistics Group. Hey, Scott, thanks for jumping on.
Hey, you're welcome. Thanks for having me, Jared.
Yeah, well, I've had the pleasure of meeting John face to face. We have not yet, other than this, but yeah, hopefully soon we'll make that happen. But I first want just to say, man, congratulations! I've been following you all for, I guess, really the past 3 years, and it's just been absolutely amazing the business that you all have started and continue to run in all aspects, which we're going to dissect today. But just congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. We are very, very blessed. There's no doubt about that. And it's beautiful because with that blessing, we get to bless a lot of people. The model that we have, it's a virtual model. So we can have what would be in the center of Chicago, which they call it kind of the freight mecca. You could have that job in the middle of nowhere, rural wherever. So it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, let's just go in just to prep our listeners. kind of where you all were before
Yeah.
and how Heartland Logistics Group came to be.
Yep.
And I might chime in a little bit, but man, give us the story.
So it really kind of goes back to my childhood for me. John's is a little bit different. But I mean, I grew up on the farm. I had the best tan, baling hay, picking up rocks, walking beans, which nobody knows what that is anymore. But yeah, so I mean, I grew up in it. I appreciated it. My family, did all those activities. Fast forward, I go through college and I see that transportation's paying like 15 grand or 15,000 or 1,500 more than my marketing degree. So I'm like, well, hey, let's just double major real quick. We'll throw transportation on there. Fast forward to graduation, I land with a very, very large 3PL, and I'm right back in the ag space. I understood farming from the family farm, but now I got to start to learn the supply chain of agriculture. And it took me about 2, 3, 4 years to learn it well. And then after that, I just started selling, and I had a ton of success. That's where John and I had met, and it's so funny because some of the stuff that John talks about today, he was trying to solve back then, but it was really the things that we could not do for our customers within ag.
Yeah.
So he and I hit it off. Obviously, he parted ways with that company earlier than I did. But then finally, yeah, we reconnected at a private equity backed 3PL. Had a blast there. COVID unfortunately did a few things that management had to make some hard decisions, and I didn't agree with them then. But I mean, I look back on it as a huge blessing.
Yeah.
We never would have done this. My dad did the same job for 47 years. My older brother, who's a mechanical engineer from Iowa State, still works the same job today that he did when he was going to college. So it was a big leap of faith for me to even leave my first company. And then now we're going to start our own. Like, are you kidding me? But yeah, here we are. We are really, really, really passionate about the ag space. We want to be everything to an ag customer. It doesn't matter the mode. That's irrelevant. Yep. We're here to fix problems and to support our customers.
It was interesting. It's interesting you're talking about the 3PL that you were with before. And even when I started almost 20 years ago in the space, how some of these larger 3PLs, they were general freight, but then they had kind of the few people that did maybe some of the ag stuff for the bulk. But it's not like, from listening to another video that you were in, like you and John were kind of the ag guys, or it seemed like you guys were the only guys that knew ag. So that was your little niche.
Yeah, it's not good when the sitting CEO asks you what ag transportation is. 13,000 employee company, and that's okay. Every business needs to have kind of a niche and who they're there to support. This just happens to be ours.
Yeah. Walk us through. I want to give people a full picture of, if they don't know who Heartland Logistics Group is, but I mean, who are you all today? How many brokerages or representative salespeople? How many do you have across the company, and where do you all serve?
Yep. So we're incorporated down in Kansas. So John has an office down there with 7 people in it. I guess him is 7. And then we have, 42 other employees in 14 different states. One of the beautiful things of that is, we say that we hire high. We want to go after the industry's best. I hope that we hire people better than me. And I'm not even saying I'm good, but that's the thought process. And so we don't have to be all in the Kansas City area. You don't have to move to Kansas City to have a beautiful job. We can just wherever the talent is, we can get it. Another neat thing in addition to that is I think it's like 92% of our employees are referrals.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I used to say this, and I don't say it as much anymore, but I've got a lot of friends, and I've got a lot of friends I'd never hire.
Yeah.
Like,
that's good.
you got to make sure that we're doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah. Well, and also mixing friends in the workplace can be tricky as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to be careful with that. Talk about, if you can, there's a lot of brokerages out there. I mean, thousands of them out there. Many are starting up every day. And I'm sure everything just didn't all come together as easy as it sounds. I mean, there were some roadblocks along the way, maybe some challenges that y'all faced. Kind of walk us through some of those challenges. I recently just had a call with a BulkLoads member, and they started a brokerage, which I'm excited. And he was asking some questions on, the challenges they're facing, just getting started and really getting in the door to maybe some shipping companies to look at their business. But I want to hear your perspective on that, and maybe those out there that are listening that may be looking to expand their book of business from a brokerage standpoint, even a carrier. And again, you don't have to give away secret sauce, but maybe some of those life lessons that would be encouraging to others.
Yeah. I guess some of the biggest roadblocks, John was the sixth employee of that private equity startup. And so he knew a lot of the pitfalls that were coming. I think he failed to share a lot of those details with me, so that I would just learn them as we go. But one of the biggest things was the factoring companies not wanting to work with somebody who's not a year old. And then some even, mid-sized trucking companies wouldn't work with you if you were, under a year.
Yep.
So, 2020, 2021, it's very, very difficult to cover freight. And, we're here having to cover loads 2, 3, 4 times just to get somebody who will allow us. I mean, we're paying on the tender release. We would pay right away just to ensure that we could have that capacity. So I think that was one of the hardest parts of it. I guess another hard thing was, as success comes, we put our HR hats and our recruiting hats on pretty fast, which I'd never expected that. I was like, I'm the sales guy. I'm going to go try to get business. And then once that happened, it's like, okay, now how do we support this? And start down your Rolodex and just start making phone calls. And
yeah,
but it was a lot of fun too, though, because when I worked for the first company, if you left Des Moines, Iowa, that was where I was working out of. If you left there, you couldn't have a job remote. So a lot of really good people, for whatever reasons, if they're chasing, a family goal or whatever, it just took them out of the area. Well, we just get to pick up the phone call and to say, hey, do you want to get back into brokerage? And for a lot of people, that was a beautiful blessing.
Wow.
Yeah. So while it was hard, it's still, you got to find the silver lining and all that stuff. That we're making an impact.
Was there ever a point, and I just remember this, with the BulkLoad story, getting into, and it was really probably month 2 or 3 for me, where I had to lean strong on my faith. And we're going to talk about that with you as well. But like questioning your own self and ambitions on creating this business, and am I doing the right thing for my family? Is this going to work? There's people, employees, and a lot of this involved, customers involved. Am I going to disappoint them? Those are all the things that were weighing on my heart when I got into it, and wondering, like, did I make the right decision really for my family? And should I have stayed where I was? But did you encounter that at all? And how was that in your journey?
I mean, faith was a huge component in it, has been in everything in life. I mean, when I was thinking of leaving the first job that I was there for 13 years, that was really hard. I was in a gas store bathroom that probably wasn't very clean, and I was down on my knees praying, making sure that I was doing the right thing. And it turned out that was great. One of the funnier stories that I have about faith and God and whatnot, and I know that Jesus had a sense of humor. I mean, it says it in the Bible.
Yeah.
I like to have a childlike faith. Like, I don't want to go too crazy about it, but I know he's there and I know he cares. And our MC number, which you send to the United States government.
Yeah.
Actually, I better make sure that that's right. Our DOT number. our DOT number, you could pretty much crack any password that I have with the first two numbers that start and the first two numbers that end. All right, it's in like every password of mine, which now I just gave away my password, but
May have to update that.
yeah,
That's pretty good.
but I got a good laugh that day. And really, for me, like one of the biggest pieces was when my wife said, yes, go for it.
Yeah.
Then it was just, I was laser focused, and there was, me and John talk about this quite a bit. There was no plan B.
Yeah.
You know, we were working scared, and I think that's a good thing. It's still that way today.
Talk
Tomorrow.
about, if you don't mind, expand that a little bit more. It's funny and maybe divine that you just said that. I just released a podcast, that the episode before this one, talking about fears and the fears I face and overcoming those fears. But that's interesting that you brought that up. Explain that a little bit more.
Everything. Well, so John had a mentor down in Kansas City. He would have funded this whole thing, but his advice to John was, he goes, you will hate me every quarter that you have to drop off a check. He's like, do it yourself. And he said that for 10 years when he was doing his brokerage, he goes, I was scared every day. And it's just like in life, yeah, it's going to be scary, but the faith should always outweigh that. I mean, anything we do in life, it's going to be a little bit, driving down the road scary.
Yeah.
But are we
That's good to have those feelings.
Yeah,
that's not a negative thing to have, to have fear about this and how it's going to play out.
Yep. But yeah, I've got enough faith that I really don't even care about that. I don't know. That's maybe not a great thing.
Yeah. Well, and I would say that, yeah, it's a fine balance, but that's where we have to lean into the word and scripture and what scripture tells us, and be reminded of those things. And we look at characters, I shouldn't say characters, real people in the Bible that had the same thoughts, the same fears along, and Christ telling them over and over to fear not.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's cool. Well, talk about, while we're on that subject, how I follow you all kind of through your social channels. Love seeing the content. Whoever your marketing department is, they're doing a phenomenal job. But you all have
out real quick.
What's that?
Can we call them out real quick?
Yeah, call them
out. So Corner Post Marketing is so we found them at Farm Progress Show last year. They actually worked with one of our customers, and we were really blown away by how beautiful their tent looked. And then their owner, Afton, she's awesome. But yeah, I mean, they're in our ag space. They know agriculture. We don't have to tell them what we're looking for. They basically know it. And then if you see like our latest YouTube video that they did, that's the first one of 3 to come. But I mean, these guys are just top notch. It's a lot.
I actually met Afton 3 or 4 years ago at a conference that she was helping put on up in Des Moines. For a Midwest Partners Group. But I think highly of her and her group. I mean, they know ag and have really cornered and made a niche in that market. So yeah, shout out to them. But what I was going to say though, like, you all have faith interwoven through a lot of your messaging, and I mean, you can show that. I mean, you can see that it's very strong. You want that presence in there. Talk about that, to why you want that on there.
It's a part of our journey. It's a part of our story. I want to be as authentic as I can be, and that's part of who I am. Yeah, there's a lot of people that walk away from it and don't bring it into the business setting. When John and I were at the private equity company, I said, don't you think it'd be really cool if we had something like a daily prayer? Just something to kind of balance us, as we start each day, or, a part of each day.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we've done that since, still over here. I'm the one that does a lot of it, but we'll have other employees that if they come across something really neat, just to share it to the team. And
so how does that look? Because, we actually incorporate that in our business. Like, we do office meetings Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So there's 20 plus of us that we get together. And in those meetings, we do pray at the end of the meeting, and we don't make it mandatory. If you don't want to participate, we always make an exclusion of that. We also do the BulkLoads Podcast. We have a prayer link that people can send in prayer requests as all. But how does that look in your organization?
It's me sending an email of
Okay.
scripture, basically. I don't like to put my 2 cents in it. I like it to come from the Word.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when we hire, we just say, hey, we do this, as a group. If you want in or if you want out, it makes no difference to us. But I think, doing this, I think it just puts the big picture, right there, front and center, right? Like, we can all get in arguments. Our business is, I mean, it's difficult. There are going to be problems. There are going to be issues. That. And then if you put some personal spin on that, and, I'm mad at you, you're mad at me, it's like, no, we can bring that back. And
yeah,
a better way to process through some of that stuff.
Yeah, that's good. I was, it was a couple months ago, I was at a dinner, and the CEO of this bank spoke, and it was a Christian dinner of men, but this guy spoke how he incorporated that into the bank, and what they've done, and just really the miracles that they've seen over the years. And I won't go into the details, but it was just amazing that and this kind of stood out to me. He's just like, he goes, I've talked to every lawyer, attorney, whatever. He goes, as long as you don't make it mandatory, it's okay in the workplace. People don't have to, but he goes, you're never gonna, well, I shouldn't say never. He goes, but I haven't seen anything or any kind of legal battles on prayer, in the workplace, or faith in the workplace.
Yeah. It'll be really sad the day that does exist. But
yeah. And I wanted to expand on what you said. I think there's a difference in, there's, in the line of work that we're in many other industries, there's always challenges. There's always, there's things that come up and problems that need to be solved. And there's different personalities, different people are going to disagree. And I have to say this, man, when faith is involved, those conversations, it seems like they get solved sometimes quicker and better with a faith aspect to it. And that shouldn't be the reason why, but it just seems like, hey, there's no problem too big for us to solve with Christ.
Yep. 100%. Yeah, and we're all human. We're going to screw up. I mean, it's yeah. None of us are perfect. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, just a couple of fun things. I think you guys are continuing to grow. I'd love just to kind of hear what your all's vision is really for the next 5-10 years for others listening out here, whether it's a client or a customer, or maybe a trucking company interested in doing business with you all. Yeah.
So this question came up, early on when we were just kind of blowing up. And John and I really struggled with it. We didn't have a good answer for it. So finally, my mom did ask me one time, and it finally clicked. It's like, we're going to be how big we need to be to support our customers, to support our carriers, and to take care of our employees. That's how big we're going to be.
Yeah.
I don't care to have a strong vision of what I want it to be, because it's just going to play out. There's a really, really, really good pastor down in West Des Moines at a church called Hope Lutheran. His name is Mike Householder. He's a stud. But they were at a Christian conference, and the same question was asked. Well, they'd already blown up, and it was, kind of called a super church. So everybody's thinking and asking, hey, how do we get our church that big? And he's like, no, that was never the vision. Or the vision was so small, like think childlike faith. No, we're just going to pick up our cross. We're just going to preach the gospel, and we'll see what happens. And then here we are. So that's the way that I think of Heartland a lot.
Yeah.
We've kind of said that we've got 3 things that we have to get right. We got to treat our customers amazing, which a lot of companies do. We have to treat our carriers better than the industry does. They're not a commodity.
Yep.
These people like family. And then treat our employees create a job that John and I were never given, and then
Yep.
give it away. Just give it away. And I think we've done a really good job of that so far. And I hope that until the day I die, that's how we operate. But I've came from an arrogant place of business where it's all about us, and if you don't work with us, it's on you. No, no, God gave us 2 ears and one mouth for a reason. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're very customer centric. We want to show up, we want to listen, and we want to solve problems.
Yeah. Describe kind of, I mean, you and John make an awesome team, and I have a business partner as well, Matt Ferdine. A lot of people never hear about him. He's kind of more the back, he's behind the scenes guy. He's our integrator. I mean, he's the guy that really, what you see on BulkLoads, he's put that together. I've been more of the industry, the salesman and all that. So we've developed a great partnership over the past 13 years, but talk about kind of, John, your roles and kind of how you all have, your strengths and work together.
Yeah. Who's the yin and who's the yang? I don't know, but I mean, through all this, John and I are great friends. John and I can have very, very, very passionate conversations. We don't always see eye to eye, but that's okay. We're still going to move forward. I think a lot of people that aren't humble enough, that there's a battle to be right. No, there's not a battle to be right. The only battle to be right is by those three things that I just said: the customers, the carriers, and our employees. So yeah, I mean, we can argue sometimes trying to get to that, but no, really, from like a sales perspective, John's a very gifted sales guy. I'm more of kind of a relational salesperson, and he's more of a kind of analytical sales guy. So it really works out. It works out really well. When we were at the second company, I think we landed something like, it was 90 customers in like, a year and a half. Or actually, I think it was the first 9 months. But yeah, so we work really, really well together. Our integrator, so we're kind of the same, we're the visionaries. So then we actually had to find, an integrator within the team that we're just kind of creating here now. So yeah, similar, I guess.
Yeah. Well, Scott, I've taken up some of your time and appreciate you being on here. To close out here, we know that the industry's turn. We've seen just a pullback. We do know that there are companies, families, real people that are struggling in this industry. What would be your encouragement for them, maybe even prayer for them, if you'd be so bold to kind of share to those out there and advice for them to kind of to hang on?
Yeah. Like right now, I think it's the best time to double down. Freight's still moving. There are disruptors in our industry. Just look at the yellow, bankruptcy, Surge Transportation, which was a large 3PL that went out of business. So there are opportunities out there. I would just say, try to keep your glass as, half full. And another thing I like to say, there are seasons in life, good, bad, and different. This is just one of them.
Yep.
This is going to pass. You know, we will get to a healthier freight market. We may never see 2021 stuff again, but that's okay. We just want to find balance, a better balance.
Yeah. I think about it in the aspect of, I think about a farmer, and we're in the ag industry, but a farmer, when he plants those seeds, like there's patience involved to knowing how long, those seeds will, turn into a plant and grow and produce a grain. They will feed his family and sell out there. And I think we're just in one of those seasons as well. And it's easier said than done, because I know there's real issues and real problems out there for people. But for me, this kind of the sacred echo that kind of came to my mind is like, man, like now's the time to plant seeds again and wait for the fruit, to reap that harvest. So like you said, right now, man, continue to stay strong, double down on there, figure out how you continue to, keep cash flow going, keep the operation going, because if you do now, you will reap the rewards down the road? Because we know you've been in this just like I have long enough to see the ups and downs in the cycle, and so we so forget the ups. We just focus on the downs, and man,
Yeah.
we know that upside is going to come again.
Yep. 100%. Yep. And one thing, another friend of mine, who's at another brokerage down in Kansas City, he always said, like, sometimes it's okay to slow down. You know, take time and spend it with your people. You know, if you've got extra time right now, try to lend some wisdom.
Yeah.
You know, so when this thing does rebound, you're flying.
Yeah, that's really good. Well, Scott, man, buddy, we appreciate everything that you're doing, man. God bless you and your company. I'm going to continue to follow you all. You guys are I'm one of your biggest fans. I'll just say that. I love what you guys are doing out there. So thank you very much for coming on the BulkLoads Podcast.
Yeah. Thank you very much for having me, and God bless you too, dude.
What'd you think overall?
I love it. Like we said in the beginning, Scott's story is just so empowering, and just the testament. I mean, whenever he mentioned, just the breakdown he had in the bathroom, whenever he was praying, and he came to realization that, he's not alone in this and he needs help. It's just a cool story overall.
Yeah. I love how their organization, most of those are remote. They have found people that they knew even that were looking for a better career, and they've been able to meet them where they are. So they haven't had to move. Not all businesses are set up that way. We do have some more on our back end that work out and remote.
Yep.
Most of us are in house. We kind of like that culture, but it's kind of however fits your business model. And I think it's worked well for them with what they do in the logistics space.
Yeah. Yeah. And Jared, do you know how long they've been on BulkLoads? They've been members for a little while, haven't they?
Well, yeah, John and them before, the previous company he was with, they were on there. So he was pretty familiar with it. I think actually even 2 companies ago, but I think they started 4 or 5 years ago, and they've been on from the very beginning, and they've just been able to run with it. And again, I think I look at this too with what they've done. Again, it was a faith podcast, but how in business they have been able to find these little niches.
Yeah.
So they knew that there was kind of an untapped market in agribusiness, but they're doing it from both bulk and also from the van, flatbed, reefer, all those other segments, which is kind of unique. But they're positioning it from the bulk side and then getting in and doing all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is really cool.
Awesome.
Well, man, we hope you enjoyed this. If you know other people that can value from it, please share. Before we head out of here, we always want to just make sure a few announcements that we want to keep on your radar. Bulk Freight Conference coming up next April. I know we're going to keep talking about every episode. We want to see you there.
Yep.
Everybody we talk to, I can't wait. Just like we mentioned in this intro, when people come together, man, great things happen.
Yep.
You learn much. You'll get value from that. You'll get to meet people you've never seen. Maybe you've talked with before, but you never actually physically met. And I guarantee it is going to help your business grow.
Yeah.
We're planning a lot of things, and we're going to talk more about specific highlights that we're going to have as they come up. But go to bulkfreightconference.com. Tickets aren't for sale, but you can get on the email list. And Tyler will send out when tickets do go on sale, but be on there so you are first to get a ticket.
Yeah, we're also updating that website, and we're actually going to put up a video of this past year's conference so you can see if you didn't make it to this past year's. That way you can kind of view what it was about, and see what you missed out on, so you can make it to the next one. Other than that, we also we just got done with our first BulkLoads Plus Bulk TMS webinar that we did. It's major success. I mean, just the amount of companies what they learned on it. I think there was 70 companies registered. We want to continue to give that out. So if you go to bulktms.com, click on the webinar tab, you can click on it. All you have to do is enter your email, and you can go and watch that.
A lot of people still don't know what bulk TMS is, or maybe you're brand new. BulkLoads Plus. We have a full solution end to end with everything that you will need to move your freight. If you are looking for better ways to be more efficient, whether it's getting documents, I'm not going to name them all, but just every process, we have streamlined that to make it all more efficient. People have said this has turned 33 hours of work a week into 3 hours of work. I mean, that's how efficient this is. This isn't a ploy to try to upsell you or sell you on something you don't need. We want to show you how this can benefit you. It is geared specifically for bulk. So check it out.
Yep.
BulkLoads Plus. It's part of within that we have Bulk TMS.
Yep. Yeah, and if you're out there, you're running multiple trucks and you don't have a TMS or kind of a management system, you're still using Excel or you're still, I don't know, texting, drivers, definitely look into it. Definitely go watch the webinar. I think we have a lot of tools that can make that process easier for you.
And I'll say this, there's a lot of TMSs out there. One thing we believe out there, everyone should be using a TMS. And maybe it's not ours, but you should be looking into that. Most of these today are so robust. They're, cutting edge, saving time and technology to run your business smoother. And if you are not up with times, man, somebody else will be.
Yep, exactly.
So we want to make sure that you're up to speed, and we are excited about this product.
Yeah. Awesome.
A couple other things. There are some truck shows coming up. We're going to be in attendance at. We're not going to have a booth, but we're going to be there. We would love to meet you. We know it's tough. Guys are on the road, and it's hard to kind of make these things work. But if you are at some of these upcoming truck shows, we're going to be at the one just down the road from here in Joplin, the Guilty by Association truck show. That's coming up. What's the dates on that?
I think it's September. I want to say
it's in September. Yeah,
second week in September or something.
Oh.
We'll also be at the Nebraska one in December, Nebraska Ag Expo. I believe that's the second week of December. But we'll be there as well. And that one we will have a booth at. So we'll bring lots of swag and we'll be there to meet a lot of our members.
Yeah, we want to meet you where you are and make it easy as possible. So yeah, man, let us know if you're going to be at those. Leave a comment in this or send us an email, shoot us a text, and we want to do that. Anything else before we close out?
No, I think, like you said in the intro, man, it was whenever we got to talk with Rachel and her crew from Smart Freight down here, we got a lot done, but we also, man, we got a lot of cool stuff coming out. I won't spoil it for anyone, but man, we got a lot of programs that we're trying to implement, and I'm really excited. I think if you don't know what Smart Freight is, we're a quick pay program that basically we're here to help you get your money next day instead of, in the bulk industry, a lot of times you might have to wait a couple of weeks to get paid. We're here to solve that problem. And it's almost like having your own, accounting person on the back end.
Yeah. I always say it's an outsource and payment program. That way you're not having to send multiple invoices out to different vendors, you're not having to worry about when you're going to get paid from different ones. It puts it all into one so you can focus on running your business and not focusing on things that aren't really making you money.
Yeah.
And let us do that for you. Do Smart Freight Funding. Check that out. Tyler will have a link on there as well. So,
awesome.
Yeah. As always, when we close out of here, we always want to mention we do have we do accept prayer requests. We want to pray for you and your family. We know we got another one just this morning. I saw that prayer request, and we take those and we sign those to someone to pray over. Maybe it's something small. Maybe it's something or somebody that has a prayer.
Yep.
It could be an illness. It could be back to school stuff, a divorce. Maybe it's something with a spouse or family member trying to mend ends. Man, I know myself, I need as much prayer as I can. Yeah. And I have people that pray for me. We want to pray for you as well. So send us an email. We keep it all confidential for that. And you can send that to prayer@bulkloads.com. Yep. Well, thank you again for listening to the BulkLoads Podcast. Please share this on social media for those that that can benefit from this. Thank you as always, and God bless.